We said the most important alcohol is ethanol. So its reactions, we first looked at how ethanol can be prepared in the laboratory. And we said the process by which ethanol is prepared is called fermentation. Fermentation, we said, it is the process in which carbohydrates like starch and sugars are converted to alcohol by enzymes. So this time you realize we started from starch to prepare ethanol, whereby we said to starch we add malt. To starch we add what? We add malt, which contains an enzyme called diastase. And this enzyme called diastase hydrolyzes starch to maltose, or it converts starch to maltose. So this was our first equation, where starch is converted to maltose. Now, when we get starch, we said we add yeast. Okay, we add yeast to starch, and this yeast contains an enzyme. Yeast contains two enzymes. One enzyme is maltase, and the other enzyme is zymase. Maltase is the one that converts maltose to glucose. Okay, said maltase is the one that contains maltose to glucose. Then we said we also have another enzyme called zymase, and zymase is responsible for breakdown of glucose into ethanol. Therefore, my friends of senior 3, our first question was supposed to begin from here. Our first question, the answer was supposed to begin from here. Okay, who can read for us that question again? Our first question in the assignment. Someone read for us that question again. Ruth, read for us that question again. Our first question in the assignment. I think I told you to come along with those questions, to the questions which I gave you in the assignment. So our first question was asking you to briefly, outline how a sample of concentrated solution of ethanol can be prepared by fermentation of glucose. So the question wanted you to start from fermentation of glucose. After obtaining this glucose, how do you continue and get ethanol? So let us write this. I think you have where to write. Can we say that ethanol, can we say that glucose is dissolved in water to form a solution? Glucose is first dissolved in water to form a solution. Yes, you first dissolve glucose in water to form a solution. Now, after dissolving glucose in water, we shall need a catalyst. No, we shall need an enzyme called zymase. We shall need an enzyme called zymase. This is zymase. So where will that enzyme come from? We have been saying that enzyme comes from yeast. That enzyme comes from yeast. So our first statement was glucose is dissolved in water to form a solution. So the second statement, I'm saying now that yeast is added. Yeast is added to the solution of glucose. Yeast is added to the solution of glucose and contains an enzyme zymase which catalyzes the breakdown of glucose into ethanol, which catalyzes the breakdown of glucose into ethanol, carbon dioxide, and heat. Then we write the equation. Then we shall write this equation. So many of you were writing 3 equations. They were not necessary here because this time we told you to show us how ethanol can be prepared starting from glucose. So we needed only 1 equation there. Okay, and that is it. This is glucose C6H12O6, and it is converted to ethanol, carbon dioxide, and heat energy. Then this equation must be balanced. You put a 2 on ethanol and a 2 on carbon dioxide. So I repeat, glucose is dissolved in water to form a solution. After forming a solution of glucose, the next step we are saying you add yeast, which contains an enzyme called zymase, and that enzyme is the one that catalyzes the breakdown of glucose into ethanol, carbon dioxide, and heat energy. Now, remember that question was like 5 marks, if I remember very well. So that is not the end. The ethanol that you obtain at this point is not pure ethanol. It is crude ethanol. So there is a process that you take it through to obtain pure ethanol, and that process is fractional distillation. So this was the last statement. We say the crude ethanol obtained is concentrated. The crude ethanol obtained is concentrated or is purified. Instead of concentrated, we can say is purified by fractional distillation, where it is collected as a distillate. Yes. The pure ethanol obtained is, no, the crude ethanol obtained is purified by fractional distillation, where it is obtained as a distillate. So that will be now pure ethanol. So briefly, that's how ethanol can be produced or can be obtained starting from glucose. This time we wanted it to start from glucose. Any question about how ethanol can be manufactured starting from glucose? Please feel free. This is your lesson. This is your class. Don't go when you have not understood anything. Feel free to ask anytime. Okay. Then the next question was briefly describe and explain how a sample of ethene can be prepared from ethanol. Then we wanted you to give all the conditions This is what we looked at some time back, preparation of ethene from ethanol. And the thing is right here. All the answers I wanted are here. So you had no reason to fail this question. That is how ethene can be prepared from what? Ethanol. So we say a little concentrated sulfuric acid is added to ethanol. This time, no, let us not write a little. Let us combine the statements. I told you this first equation is not for you. So let us combine the statements. Now I think you have your pen there and book. Let us say an excess of concentrated sulfuric acid is added to ethanol. An excess of concentrated sulfuric acid is added to ethanol, and the mixture heated strongly. And the mixture heated strongly to a temperature an excess of concentrated sulfuric acid is added to ethanol, and the mixture is heated strongly to a temperature of 170 degrees centigrade. To a temperature of 170 degrees centigrade. Ethene is evolved as a colorless gas. Ethene is dissolved as a colorless gas. And is collected over water since it is slightly soluble in water. Ethene is evolved as a colorless gas and is collected over water since it is slightly soluble in water. Then we shall write our equation here. We say C2H5OH. This is the equation that leads to the formation of ethene gas. Okay. Then the other equations, we wanted you to write equation to show the reaction leading to the formation of 1,2-dibromoethane. Write an equation leading to the formation of 1,2-dibromoethane. Equations leading to the formation of 1,2-dibromoethane. 1,2-dibromoethane comes from the reaction of ethene with bromine. So let us go back and look at it. 1,2-dibromoethane, and here it is. This is the equation that leads to the formation of 1,2-dibromoethane. And we could also ask you for the observation. So be very careful. Remember what we said about this. You people, please take time and understand this work. That's why I'm repeating it, so that you can understand it better. This work is very simple. This part of chemistry is very simple. If you give it time, you can always pass these questions. So I'm saying when ethene is bubbled through bromine water, then bromine water changes from reddish brown to colorless. When ethene is bubbled through bromine water, then bromine water changes from reddish brown to colorless. So the colorless solution is this one that we call 1,2-dibromoethane. Why do we call it 1,2-dibromoethane? If you're having your question there, you see this is the first carbon atom, and on this carbon atom there are 2 hydrogens and 1 bromine atom. Then this is our second carbon atom, and it also has 2 hydrogens and 1 bromine atom. So this bromine is on the first carbon atom, so that is why it is 1, and this bromine is also on the second carbon atom, and that's why it is 2. So the name becomes 1,2-dibromoethane. The name becomes 1,2-dibromoethane. So this product 1,2-dibromoethane comes from the reaction of ethene gas, which is C2H4 plus bromine. Make sure that work is well understood. Formation of polythene. Equation leading to the formation of polythene. That is the other equation that I sent to you the other time on WhatsApp group. I think you wrote it. And this is the equation that leads to formation of what? Of polythene. So, and the process is polymerization, where we said very many small molecules of low molecular mass join together to form one large molecule, which has a very high molecular mass. So that is the equation that leads to formation of polythene. But I said there is a problem with this, and it cannot be changed since it is a PDF. So I wrote it to you, and I hope you wrote it down the way I expected you to write it. After the lesson, I'm going to resend it back to you, just to make sure that it is clear. State, okay, the equation that leads to formation of carbon dioxide and water from ethene, that is now a reaction of combustion. That is now a reaction of what? Combustion. Remember we said all hydrocarbons, they burn in oxygen to form 2 products, and that is carbon dioxide and water. So this is the equation. This is the equation. Ethene, which is C2H4 plus oxygen, and the product is carbon dioxide and what? And water. Then we should make sure that the equation is balanced. We should make sure that that equation is balanced. You put a 2 on carbon dioxide to balance carbon. Then you put a 2 on water to balance hydrogen. And finally on oxygen becomes 6. You just put a 3 on what? On oxygen. Then the other question was, state one use of ethanol other than preparation of ethene. Ethanol has very many uses, as we are going to see. We are going to look at them. Use of polythene, we agreed it is used to make plastics. and carrier bags. It is used in the manufacture of plastics and carrier bags. That is polythene. Then disadvantage of polythene, we said as a polymer, it does not decompose, or it is not decomposed by bacteria, and therefore it leads to pollution of the environment. It does not decompose, or it is not decomposed by bacteria, and therefore it leads to what? To pollution of the environment. So that was it for the assignment. You see, we have taken a good time doing that correction, but it is necessary. Those questions are very common. I request you people to revise all the questions that I've been sending you alongside the notes. I think all of you received a copy of the notes. Let's get serious with this work. It is very, very important. So I gave you an assignment. Can I call it homework? I wanted you, I said those people who come from the West, for us, we don't have millet, but we use bananas to get ethanol. Those people who come from Teso, for you have millet, but you also get ethanol. So it doesn't matter what you have. Anything that contains starch can be used to get ethanol. And it is very important that you know. So I want to remind you people. Now this one, the first one, this has been, it is laboratory preparation of ethanol. Okay, get starch. That means starch is already made. Yeah? But now in this question, I'm going to tell you to explain how ethanol can be obtained from locally available materials. When I say locally available materials, you should not start talking about glucose, because if you go to my village now, they don't have glucose, but they make alcohol, drink, and get drunk. Eh? So when we say locally available materials, then now I'm talking about millet, I'm talking about sorghum, I'm talking about bananas. How can ethanol be obtained from those locally available materials? I don't know if you researched, but when you go to the village for Christmas, try to ask your grandparents how they get ethanol. But for people who are in from Teso, this is what is done. Millet flour is mixed with a little water to form millet paste. This is the first step. So if I say explain how ethanol is obtained from locally available materials, this is what I want. You either use millet or you use bananas. So for those who are going to use millet, we are saying millet flour is mixed with a little water to form paste. Eh? Then what do you do to that paste? The mixture is then put underground for 8 hours. That mixture containing paste, you put it underground for 8 hours as you allow it to ferment. It is okay, 8 days. It is then removed, roasted, and dried under the sun. Okay, people from Teso, you know what I'm talking about. Tavo. It is then removed and roasted and dried. All this is done to get ethanol, to get alcohol. The dried material is then mixed with germinated. The dried material is then mixed with germinated millet flour. Now this is yeast, which we said contains an enzyme. Someone to remind me the enzymes in yeast again. Said there are two enzymes. Come on, come on. Which two enzymes did we say are in yeast? Judith.
Maltase and zymase.
Good. Maltase and zymase. And which one of the two catalyzes the conversion of glucose to ethanol?
Zymase.
Zymase. Wonderful. So it is then removed and roasted under the sun. Then the dried material is mixed with millet flour, which is yeast. Again, water is added and the mixture is allowed to ferment for 3 days in warm place. And after fermentation, this will form a local drink known as marwa. A local drink known as marwa. So you people, don't take this for granted. This is an examinable question. And I repeat, when I say describe how ethanol is obtained from locally available materials, don't start talking about glucose, maltose, and starch. No, 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 no. Locally available materials, we are talking about those materials which when you go to the village, everyone has. Those glucose and what, we only find them in the lab. So those people from Teso and Guru, for them it is marwa, but it is also ethanol, though it is crude ethanol. This one that they get now is crude ethanol, but for them they don't mind. They drink and get drunk. Keep remembering, how is this crude ethanol purified to get pure ethanol? Someone tell us, how is this crude ethanol purified to get pure ethanol?
It is distillated.
Kathy?
By fractional distillation.
By fractional distillation, where ethanol is obtained as a distillate. Very good. Now, let us go to the West, my motherland. For us, those people who come from the West now, you know what I'm talking about. I mean those who usually go to the villages for Christmas and spend there some good time. Preparation of ethanol from ripe bananas. If we have ripe bananas, we can also get ethanol. How? Ripe bananas are squeezed to obtain juice. That is the first step. Then the juice obtained is filtered to remove the solid particles. Now, the juice, after filtering, the juice is then mixed with roasted sorghum. I'm assuring you, I have ever done this personally. When I'm at home, this is what we do. We get our alcohol. The juice is mixed with roasted sorghum, flour, and the mixture allowed to ferment for 1 to 3 days in a warm place. So for us, what we do, we usually cover that mixture with some dry grass and banana leaves to create that warmth. That's why we are saying in a warm place. This is very important. A crude form of ethanol, locally known as tonto, is obtained. For us, we call it tonto. Then the Atabos call it marwa. but still it is ethanol. But we are saying this ethanol obtained is not pure. So it is purified by fractional distillation. And this is the statement. Beer is made by fermentation of starch. Wine is made by fermentation of sugars in grapes. Spirits are obtained by distillation of dilute solutions obtained from fermentation. Eh? So spirits, I mean the Uganda Warage. Eh? Think this one. If your parent sips, he will remember this. So wine is obtained by fermentation of sugars like grapes, sugars in grapes. So all this is chemistry. Beer is made by fermentation of starch, and then spirit, that concentrated ethanol, which you call warage, it is made by fractional distillation of the solutions which are obtained by fermentation. After fermentation, you continue and do fractional distillation. Now, this is a very common question. Uses of ethanol. Uses of ethanol. Number one, everyone can pass this now. Even you ask your relatives there, your uncles, you ask them to give you use of ethanol, but they don't know what ethanol is. They only know alcohol. They tell them to give you the use of alcohol. Ethanol is a chemical name, chemical word. So number one, it is used as an alcohol beverage for drinking. We have beers, wines, and spirits. The second important point, ethanol is an organic solvent. And you know, covalent compounds are the ones that dissolve in organic solvent. So the other important point, we are saying it is used as a solvent for paints and varnishes. These are organic compounds. Paint, if you touch paint accidentally and I find you washing your hand with water, I will call you a mad person. Water will not remove that paint. But you see, those people who do building, they know a lot of chemistry. They will use paraffin or ethanol to remove the paint, because paint is organic, so it cannot dissolve in water, which is an inorganic solvent. So we use ethanol as a solvent. The other important use, it is used as fuel, because in combustion we saw when it burns, it produces a lot of heat, so that heat can be used as fuel. It is used as a preservative and sterilizer. It is used to sterilize surgical instruments in the hospital because it kills germs. So ethanol is used to sterilize surgical instruments. And even when you are in the salon after chopping off your hair, they use spirit to clean your head, because that spirit, which is ethanol, kills germs. So all that is sterilizing. And finally, it is used as a thermometric liquid, especially in minimum and maximum thermometers. That's the end of it today. I wish you a good day. God bless you. But I know most of you are in science club. So our next lesson will be on soaps and detergents. I want by the time we come back, everyone should have read about how soap is manufactured. How do we obtain soap? Soap, sabuni. I wish you a good day. God bless you. Bye-bye.